Hi, and welcome to the Diablo podcast. I am your host, Xanth, and today I am joined by Nineball
Oh, hi.
and longtime guest, noted streamer, and noted whale, Nerdbirds.
Hello.
And we are brought to you by PureDiablo.com, your home for an ever-growing Diablo community, an expansive wiki, and of course, this podcast. And we are also open to any other sponsors that want to. Feel free, drop me an email. Anyways, chilling aside, there's a lot that's been happening in the Diablo community, so let's hit it hard with big shakeups. Blizzard, as we know it, is making a few changes, and that is going to affect the games that we love. They have transitioned, or are beginning the transition, from a work from home to a 3 days a week at the office, starting in June or April,
July.
depending on your team. July. Uh,
I believe it's specifically July 11th from what we've learned.
and the general consensus, at least from what I've gathered, is that this is unpopular, to say the least.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
Um, Gentlemen, what are your thoughts as you see Blizzard making this shift?
Highball, you go first. I'm curious.
They launched Shadowlands, Dragonflight, Overwatch 2. They launched Immortal. They're going to be launching Diablo 4, from work from home. I believe Dragonflight was developed like almost entirely work from home. Because obviously Diablo 4 will have been in development for what, 2.5 years of work from home, 2 years for work from home, but had a couple of years in development, before its announcement. So it's kind of like a 50-50 mix. So the big back end of it and all the polishing and such has been done work from home. So it's just like one of those ones where it's like, why can't it be done, from in why does everything have to go back to the office? Because one of the big things that the corporate suite is going through and saying is like, oh, we feel as if you all work better in the office, which obviously is a lie. And it's something that, sure, there are some people out there that do prefer to work in an office and they don't want to work from home and such, but why not give your workforce that option to whether they want to work from home or work in the office? Giving people that choice instead of forcing everybody back into this mandatory 3 days in the office, 2 days at home, which we all know that like by the end of the year is going to be 5 days in the office and 0 days at home, because that's just how all these things go. um, and there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to stay on. They're not going to go through with that. They'll find other places. I mean, like Bungie is entirely work from home. There's other big AAA developers out there that have transitioned to entirely work from home. They've reduced their office footprint. They still have an office for people that prefer to go through and do that, but they've expanded out their hiring, from all over the globe and such. Now, there are some people that are working at Blizzard that have either that were hired specifically as a work from home employee. Not everyone, but there are some contracts that were set up for that they're entirely remote. But not everyone, and not everyone that got hired and is living across the country. A lot of those people were hired, and in their contract does not guarantee them a remote position, and they are being issued marching orders to come back to corporate HQ in July. So you're being given like a little under 4 months to uproot from wherever you are and move to California. And not everybody, some people are going and doing the process of getting permission to switch to remote, but not everybody is getting the okay on that. And so it honestly, it seems, of everything that's been going on with Blizzard, and not even just like Activision Blizzard, but a lot of things in the tech industry right now, it's all Tech stocks have been, hurting. And one of the things that they've been doing to try and, kind of, I guess, quote for the people that are listening at home, I'm doing the air quotations, like course correct, is to lay off staff and then their stocks, shoot back up. But it's like one of those ones where it's like the stocks are dropping, but they're posting incredibly profitable quarters. Blizzard themselves posted one of the most profitable quarters ever. For quarter four of last year, it was one of the most profitable periods that they've ever had. And so it's like, so it would, I guess, it would look bad if they laid off people, but there's going to be people that are going to quit. They're not going to go. They're not going to switch. They're going to get denied their remote job, and they're going to quit because they're not going to move to California, or they're just not, or they already live in California and they're just like, I'm not going to go back into the office. And so then Activision Blizzard gets to be like, oh well, we reduced staff by X number of jobs, by people that refuse to come back into the office and try and not look like the bad guy. And we didn't have any layoffs. We just forced 700 people into really bad decisions that they couldn't afford in order to come back into the office and had to quit. You know, but thankfully the internet is calling them, on that. And it's just a really bad, unpopular decision like across the board. And not to mention that's before you even get into how Blizzard corporate is handling the situation as well.
Which in and of
Yeah,
itself
I,
could be a massive podcast there. But Norbert,
yeah. I mean, first of all, I'm not a video game developer or designer. I am not involved in the creation of gaming in any means or facet. Um, I cannot speak to the necessity of having the team in a room together to build and make these worlds. And as you said, a lot of the releases over the last 3 years have been work from home through this process, and those have seemed to be really successful releases and successful for the business. Um, you know, so I just want to start by saying that, right? In the job that I do work, we require face-to-face interaction realistically. So it's different depending on the job or the field that you're in. Um, what I would say is that like you're exactly right. It is coming from someone who also is familiar, very very familiar with corporate America. That is absolutely a move that seems like they would do to be able to lay people off without laying people off. And the internet will always call them on their bullshit, but at the end of the day, that's kind of how corporate America is and will always function. So it really sucks because it pulls you out of. It sounds really cheesy, but the immersion, we're such big fans of the franchise and all that you forget sometimes about the suits and ties at the top that really move a lot of these pieces and put restrictions on things. And I don't know. It feels like it's unnecessary if it's possible to work from home and to have the best talent. I would think that as an organization, if you could realistically make games from a work from home status, that by doing so, you're able to open up the pool of people that you can hire pretty drastically, and save the cost, right? Like save
Mhm.
the cost of having to move people for signing contracts and things like that. And I don't know. So it feels like a bad move in that regard, in the sense it doesn't make sense. So I would say it's one of two things. It's either one, typical corporate mishandling of the business, or two, a really necessary decision that we're just not certain on what the necessity is yet. Maybe they need to cut costs in a bad way for a reason that is unknown. Again, with their postings, you wouldn't think so, but right.
Yeah.
Golden parachutes, right, and what have you. So it's tough. I don't have a big like hard standing opinion other than like, hey, this is more par for the course. Corporate America just happens to be, part of a game company that I enjoy and part of, the money flow of the things that I love. So stinks.
yeah, I think that, I've talked about it before, but years ago, I was offered a job at Blizzard, and it was an amazing experience. And one of the harder decisions I've made in my life was turning it down because of the conversations that are probably happening across the country right now. Is the math of it didn't work for me and my family. Southern
Mhm.
California is ridiculously expensive. Um, to own a home uh, would have been impossible. Um, so to have to sell a home, then to move my family to an apartment, and the apartment, was more than my mortgage. Um, it didn't work. And right now you have a bunch of people who are able to make it work all over, and they're doing a really good job. Like all of us are really excited for a game that's been mainly made from these different places. And yeah, there are people who are making it work in California. It's not to say it's impossible, but and Nerdwords, you brought it up, that pool of talent is so much bigger. And I think it just kind of goes back to like one of the things that's kind of lacking in the gaming industry is a sense of like unionization, where
Mhm.
collectively, we can be up in arms as fans and they can be up in arms as employees. But without that kind of power behind it, you just get a lot of these top-down decisions with, unfortunately, we kind of know what's going to happen. Nineball, you kind of laid it out. They're going to lose people. People at the top are going to get a little bit more money, and we're going to keep moving on. I
Oh,
would love
but
to see.
no. Remember, the executive levels aren't making that much more money than their employees. If you think that they are, you're living in a myth.
Right, right. That's true.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was false of me to think that way. Um, they are
Which,
struggling
for
too.
those of you that are uninformed, is supposedly a quote from Mike Ibarra, the current president of Blizzard, in his all hands Q&A session about the work from home profit sharing cuts to his employees.
Yeah.
Poor executives, right?
Yeah, and I think, Nerdbirds, you brought it up as well, that we become very passionate about a game. We can lose sight of the people that are behind it, and I hope that each and every one of them that has to make these hard decisions comes to the choice that best suits them, right? Because it's a shitty decision regardless, and hopefully they end up happy more than anything, because there's people behind there. And I think every person that I've seen that's working at these levels in Blizzard, at least that I've had the privilege to interact with, has been great people. Um, and I want the best for them. So, beautiful transition, right? We get the bad stuff out of the way, and now let's go to what we've been focused on. As stuff has been happening, the whole Diablo 2 patch and season has started work from home, by the way. It has been made and has been entered into the record books right now. Have you been playing the Diablo 2 Mosaic season?
Yes. Yes. Though I've not touched the Mosaic at all. Um, I've definitely caught some streams and stuff, but yeah, I've definitely been playing. Not quite as hard as the first or second season, really. Obviously, I'm a huge D2 fan. I've played it for a long time. I got my sorceress in a good spot. Got nice little starter magic find gear. I can casually just grind some loot out and casually progress. But no, I'm definitely enjoying the season. I've got a couple buddies that have been playing with me too, so it's been great.
Are you going hardcore or softcore?
Brother, I haven't played hardcore in like 20 years. Intentionally. Blizzard would have to, one, have better servers first, and two, I need more free time than I already have. Yeah, there's no way.
Just thought I'd ask. We're friends. I've seen you on my friends list, and all of a sudden I was like, holy crap, he's so much further ahead of me. I'm like, oh wait, it's got to be softcore.
I mean, if I was in hardcore, I'd be further ahead of you too. But
I do not doubt that. I've been going so slow, but I'm still alive. But I am going very, very slow. So I'll get there eventually.
I have
Eventually.
like a head canon for hardcore. Like I always track when I die first, and I didn't die until the 70s, so I was pretty happy about that. But typically the first characters like that. It's the rest of the characters that die all the way up because I just rush them. That first
Yeah.
one is usually pretty safe to a certain extent.
And then Nightmare, I know you have not had a chance yet to play, but when you dig yourself into the new season, and you got a few days before Diablo 3 season comes in, what are you going to play?
I'm probably actually gonna try out that Mosaic Assassin. It just looks so much fun.
It is
Um,
absurd. It will completely destroy your computer, though. It
I've been
crashes several people's systems, including mine. It's not all the
yeah.
time, but sometimes it's bad.
Yeah, I've been here, and especially if you're going through, you're playing in a public game, and you got like three of them going through and running can
Oh yeah,
cause quite a few
yeah,
issues.
bail runs are
Yeah,
real fun with that. Cows, ugh, yeah, it's tough. It's fun
yeah,
though. It's
That
fun.
reminds me of like old Diablo 2 when you couldn't have too many necromancers in the same
Yeah,
game.
yep,
Like, oh, you're a
yep.
necro, get out of here.
Lagromancers. Yeah.
Don't don't bring your skeleton army. I don't need that. We're just trying to do bail
Oh,
runs.
and
Like,
then they start hitting
or
bone wall, and you just want them
Yeah.
all to go away. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
what was it? It's in later years, people thought that the whole like bone wall was just annoying because you'd block off the throne with it to prevent people from going through and getting in. But like playing back in like 2002, 2003, you would bone wall and people would just disconnect because you just had it so many casts. On
Yep.
didn't even have to be around the throne. You just casted wherever that you wanted, and it just had too much going on, and you'd see someone drop.
well,
Think
I
of the
can't.
internet connections and the RAM we were playing that game on back then,
Yeah.
though. I think about
Yeah.
that all the time, right? Crazy.
Um,
No wonder it crashed.
I can say I've been delving into the new season. I have enjoyed it so far. It's
What are you
going to be
playing?
tough. I am playing an assassin. I actually was able to stop myself from clicking druid at the start.
I'm so proud of you right now. So proud of you,
It's
brother.
thank you, thank you. And I talked
mhm.
about it with Macro on the last podcast, but it mainly had to do with the fact that they got rid of the Shockwave druid, which I was really excited for. So I decided let's delve into the assassin. I have not even switched to Mosaic yet. I don't have any of the runes. I'm not doing any trading. It's all self-found because I'm honestly too lazy to trade now. Like I just don't like I don't want to go through. I'm just gonna farm super slow with my traps and try not to die. And eventually, I'm gonna be doing cool Mosaic stuff, or I'm gonna get distracted really soon because we have a new Diablo 3 season coming up, and this one's a big
And
one.
I actually I sympathize with you in that respect because like what was it? I think I played solo self-found on like season 27 for Diablo 3 for the majority of the season because I couldn't be bothered to try and find a group. I just logged on, did some greater rifts and then logged off. And then eventually I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna run some bounties. And so I just hopped into some public games. I broke my solo self-found. Oh gosh darn.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. I'm sure
I'm
you
not.
traded a ton of gear in those solo and those public games too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, every piece, right? Just swap it out.
Yep. Yep. Just throwing it on the ground in town.
There you go. That's it, right? Yeah, I actually have a bone to pick. Blizzard, kindly fuck yourself. Because how do you release a Diablo 2 ladder and then a week later do a Diablo 3 season? Some of us actually like both games and play both games. And it creates really difficult choices because I'm also like caught in Elo hell on WoW Arena right now. So I'm like juggling, like, do I want to beat my head against the arena wall? Or do I want to go in with Diablo 2 ladder and continue my magic finding? Or do I want to... So it's been tough and I'm a little frustrated by that. Though I'd also like to say thank you, Blizzard, because the Towels Wizard looks very beautiful for next season in D3. So the whole like 96 hours it'll take for me to like do everything I want to do in the season might go even faster this time. So my anticipation is to play really hard on D3 for like probably 2 days. And then likely be done with the season with how much creep there is and how much power level we'll have. But we'll see, right? My
Yeah.
thought is once I get through opening weekend, I'm gonna kind of go, okay, it's Tuesday. Which Diablo am I gonna jump into? And that'll just determine, kind of how it plays out.
Now,
But
And
I
not
might
still,
just
have a
that.
solution.
They're also on Wednesday. They're adding fishing to Diablo Immortal. So I mean,
I actually haven't played Immortal in a minute, but I do love fishing and WoW for whatever reason. So I would
um,
probably have enjoyed that in Immortal as well too. So that actually, see, do
that
they not understand that we all with most of us play multiple? I don't know. It's weird.
So I have a solution, and it may not be for either of you, but it's going to be for me. Right now, for Switch, Diablo 2 Resurrected is on sale for like $13 for a Switch game, which is ridiculously cheap. And I run on the treadmill in the mornings, so I can get about an hour of Diablo 2 on the Switch that way. And then in the evening, Diablo 3. And that's you just trade off on the Switch with on the
I'll
treadmill.
I will be honest with you. I am a huge fan of Diablo on consoles, and I think that it is great. I cannot play Diablo 2 on a console, let alone a Switch. It feels absolutely atrocious to me for whatever reason. Diablo 3 felt great on a controller. I anticipate Diablo 4 feeling great as well too, but Diablo 2, and maybe it's just because it's ingrained into my 11 and 12-year-old self playing on my old school PC. But
Yeah.
like when I'm on it, I can't imagine playing a sorceress on a controller. In Diablo 3, like energy is just so fluid, it doesn't really matter. But in Diablo 2, like a wrong fireball is not great because that's like half your mana pool, right? So it just seems
I
seems like not the move.
I will state I do have to play softcore, and I,
Sell out,
I
sell
know.
out.
Look,
Terrible.
I'm running and playing. I
Uh,
can't also stay alive, but
you're gonna have to change your Twitter handle.
I know
Yeah,
You
dude,
don't
it
you don't
is.
you don't
this
deserve the
poser,
HC anymore.
All
HC
right,
Uh,
Xanth. Come
all right,
on,
fine.
jeez.
Tomorrow morning
At
I
best,
will roll a hardcore character. I'll post it on Twitter how far I can get.
doesn't matter.
Expect
Doesn't
it.
doesn't
matter.
matter.
It's
No, it's
you got
lost. It's gone.
you
No.
got to be HC/SC Xanth, which doesn't have the
Uh,
same ring to it. Yeah,
no.
poser.
It's too much.
Terrible.
But I will say Diablo 3 was my goal for treadmill running. But when you move the Joy-Cons, it does a roll every time. So you got a
What a
Joy-Con
problem
here,
to
you got
have.
a Joy-Con here, and you're just roll, 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 and you can't play the game. And there's no way to turn it off. There's
You have
no
to
way
run
to
like the
turn it off.
Terminator. Yeah, just don't move your arms. Just
Yeah.
run.
But
Yeah, just
but like
run.
when
Hands straight out.
even if I was completely still, right? The vibration from
Still
my
enough.
foot hitting is enough for it to just go, I better roll. I better roll. I better
Could
and
you
it
just change the keybind to be a different control instead of the shake?
you can't. You cannot change
Are
it.
you sure? Are you
100%.
sure?
I looked into it. I like there is no fix for it.
I will
And
I will try it tonight, and if I can't figure it out, then I'll
and
yeah.
I
If I
it is
can, I'll
a
let you know.
there is a niche level of gamer that's like I need to play Diablo 3 while running on a treadmill. It's
Yeah,
me and
No.
yeah.
like
The niche.
two other people and
I think it's
they're
just
not
you,
going to
buddy.
fix it
I
for
think it's I
Do
think it's just you.
do those two other people also play druids?
not for Diablo 3, it's not in there. Uh, but I bet they would because they clearly are men of taste. Um,
I
anyways,
mean,
this
yeah, bad taste, I guess, is
yeah.
taste. So
Sure.
So
yeah.
write it down. This is a very niche part. Like this is an issue that really just affects me. But I will state, having it on Switch is nice for those moments. I like to play video games while I run because if I'm on the treadmill for a long time, it gets really boring. It,
That's why
and
people just don't
Diablo
run
2,
though, right? Like that's for the rest of us that are human and, all that. We just don't run. We
it's
should, but we just don't.
it's fair. I totally get it. It is the worst. But I will say it is on sale. It's a pretty good deal. And Switch games never go on sale. That's what one of the
Yeah.
big deal breakers for me was like
It's because it's
I can
because
justify $13.
Nintendo, it's that's more of a Nintendo thing than a yeah.
Right.
So third party games will go on sale more often.
So I was all about it. If you are out there and just like, I need a game to play while at the airport or on a treadmill, this is the one for you because it will not make you roll when you run. So get in there
Now
and
I
do it. Now,
and now I do want to be specific here. I love Diablo 3 on console and on the Switch specifically. It is mad fun. I will never in my life play Diablo 2 on Switch. I can't I don't for me just that just feels so awful.
my
Yeah.
my personal preference is always mouse and keyboard. Like that's what I
Yeah.
want for a
I
Diablo
mean
game. And
I
and for
did
Diablo 4 I'll do that as well, but I got to do something.
I did buy it on the Switch, hoping that my girlfriend would inevitably pick it up like she did Diablo 3. However, it did not stick the way I wanted it to. So back to Diablo 3 for her.
It's okay. Well, speaking of which, that's a good transition. Going back to Diablo 3, we do have a new season that's coming out in just a few
And,
days.
and I am really excited. Altar of
Mhm.
Rites looks amazing.
February 24th,
Like,
right?
Yeah.
We are recording this right now on the 20th. So we're 4 days away from a new Diablo 3 season. And as you kind of alluded to before, Nerdbirds, it does suck to have them so close to each other.
yeah, we're
Where
3 days into the beginning of a new Diablo 2 ladder and 4 days away from a new Diablo 3 season. I definitely, liked my free time that I had for a second. So
and that's the fun thing about like seasons is the start, right? Like when everybody's starting fresh, everybody's starting on the same page. Um, I am a realist in my own abilities, but for that first hour, everybody's equal, and that is kind of the fun of it. And then, 2 days later, you see Leviathan's clearing, Greater Rift,
it's going to be
150.
like 4.5 hours this time. So just letting you know, it's going to be a lot faster.
Right, right. And as you kind of alluded, we did talk a lot about Diablo season 3 or Diablo season 28 on the last podcast with Leviathan, but it's coming up a lot sooner than what I thought. What are your plans for season 28, guys? What are you going to be starting with, and what are your aspirations?
I'm gonna be going with my tried and true, the necromancer. I always love the Mask of the Burning Cavalcade, and it's the not only is it the starter set, it is it's a wonky one to start with the Hadrian's Gift because it doesn't work without the amulet that makes the simulacrums permanent. So it can be wonky there in the beginning, but they just buffed it. They upped the damage of the six piece and then tripled it for the simulacrums. So that's going to be absurd in terms of its damage output. In addition to just the altar buffs and such. So I'm gonna have fun with it. That's what I'm gonna go through and roll.
And I really enjoyed, I did roll the Necromancer last season because of your recommendation, and it was awesome. I very, very much enjoyed playing Necro. But I'm a sorceress slash wizard main, always and forever, and will always play those first. And my favorite set, Talrash's, is the set. Not just for wizard, but really the whole season, to be honest with you. Because basically last season's power did not like affect us at all. Um, so yeah, it was like the seasonal journey, or sorry, the seasonal theme did not matter last ladder for wizards. This
Mhm.
ladder, it is holy crap. I mean, it's impactful for every class. And now Tal Rosh's, on top of the changes and the buffs it got, now has a theme to really go with it. It is disgusting. When the meta is being talked about and Tal Rasha Wizard is in it, I am absolutely in that train because I love that set. I think one, the Taurasha set is just a callback to D2, and obviously I'm very invested there. So I've always liked the Taurasha set for that reason. It's got that look that the Taurasha set's always had, but for me, like I just think the set has always been the most interesting because it allows you to do so much with it. It kind of applied, being an elemental base, you can apply it to several different skills on your leveling journey. As you move through the mid part of the season before you got all of your really good end game gear and all your extra pieces to make it really good. Great for speed builds. It's just always been a fun build. Especially once they made it to where you didn't have to like rotate the powers every 4 seconds and you could just keep the
Yeah.
stacks. That was so annoying. But yeah, so I'm definitely excited about that. But I'll be honest with you, it is tough. I've got a friend group that plays, a lot. We play a lot of games together, but obviously I'm huge into Diablo, and I've got a few of them that are pretty big with me too. I've got one friend who's really, really into D2 the way that I am. Like we both grew up playing D2 and are super, super about it. The rest of my friends might have dabbled in it or played it here and there, but we're way more heavy into D3. So it seems like my entire friend group is way more excited about the D3 season than the D2 ladder.
Mhm.
Um, Mind you, also D2 has 20 years on it too. So there's that. But I think that I don't know. It's what the trick's going to be for me is the weekend after, right? So this weekend I'm
Yeah.
absolutely playing D3 all weekend. I might jump in and do a little arena to get my conquests and stuff. I might, jump into D2 and do some runs if I get burnt out for a little bit. But the weekend after, which one do I play? That's going to be because I don't know. I'm honestly going to just see what happens, right? Like I might go crazy about some D2 and jump in and play that some more, or I might just be like super into the D3 season. And I definitely want to do a 150 solo. I think I've done a 147. I've never actually gotten a 150 solo myself, so that would be cool. That'd be a cool
This
little
is the
bucket list
season
item.
to do it. That's for sure.
Oh, especially with the towel set, yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be stupid easy. I did it last ladder or last season with the Tregules Necro. I
Yeah.
think is when I did the 147 on, and then I did it on a wizard as well too. But towels, yeah, I'm definitely gonna do it on towels for sure, for
And
sure.
what's funny because you're going through and you're mentioning, like which of the games are you going to be playing next season or next like the week afterwards? Because we all know what we're doing, this weekend. But it's funny
Yeah,
because just a couple weekends after that is in Diablo 4.
yeah, yep,
Yeah,
yep.
gonna be taking a couple weekends away from all of us, regardless of whether you're
Right.
playing Diablo 2, Diablo 3, or Immortal. I mean, it's funny because
Yeah,
like even in my Immortal clan, they're all talking about the Diablo 4 beta.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I mean,
So
what is it? I actually, it's funny that you mentioned how like everybody's been on board with the Diablo 3 season because I have a couple of friends that they kind of like some of them like left. They haven't touched like Diablo in ages. They're playing Path. Some are like playing Path of Exile. Other ones just like they stopped playing ARPGs. They're like often Final Fantasy 14 and such. And I had a couple people message me that it's like, hey, this season looks like they're changing up a whole lot. It's like, do you have a leveling group? It's like, I do now.
right,
So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I actually got
and
a couple now. I got to figure out which way we got to. I actually have enough people to probably do 3 or 4 groups at this point, so I'm excited.
nice, nice.
It's been a minute since we've had that kind of excitement for sure.
Oh yeah, this one definitely because what was it? I had last season was also like pretty popular, but I think the one where they did the ethereal weapons was like
Yeah,
that one
that
had
was.
quite a
Yep.
few people back
Yeah,
wanting
a
to
lot of
come
my
back
friends
and
came
like
back
dive
for
in
that
it.
one too. Yep, for sure.
Yeah. And then this one's also like it's not only do you have like that altar of rights, but there's always like the little like cosmetics and stuff like that. And this one has like it's like the all of the little the portrait frame that you get is all of the prime evils like
Yeah,
amalgam together and such. And then you get like a little tiny dragon that has like Tyrael's wings on it and such too. So yeah, the seasonal rewards are pretty fun.
yeah. Are they? Are they
Yeah,
pretty fun? Yeah,
yeah.
I didn't realize that Tyrion's wings were in there, but
Oh
I
yeah, no.
guess
I mean, if you go through and you pull it up, it's straight up. It's Tyrael's wings.
gotcha. Okay, okay,
Yeah,
cool. That's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, I think we I think that the D3 season, very my friend group feels very similar because the ethereal season was when they all played too. But I think that I think that the biggest thing is not even the ultra. The ultra rights is crazy. It is like blow the doors off it, like one last send off season for Diablo 3. I mean, hopefully there will be more, but you know what I mean, right? Like it
yeah,
feels big, big. I'm more excited about the new Kenai's Cube recipe because that's what got my
uh,
friends excited. It's like, oh, wait a
yeah,
minute, I can just craft primal ancients now. Okay, so by Saturday night, like we're gonna be full primal ancients, full augments, and just blasting. That's gonna be cool. I'm really excited about that. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out though.
yeah. Because what is
Tyrell's
it?
wings.
It's because it's every two. It's it's every two primals that you find it gives you enough ash to craft one, but you can only wear one crafted piece. So
Wait,
you
there's a
can't.
limit on the crafted?
Yeah,
Oh, I actually did not realize that. Rip.
yeah. Only one. I have the patch notes up right now. Only one upgraded primal item may be worn at a time.
Oh wow, I
And
actually did
yeah,
not
so
catch that. So less exciting, but still cool. You can at least get your
yeah.
primal weapon right away if you want to, though.
Yeah, and well, the
Yeah,
other and then also the other side of it, it's like a reforge, so it completely rerolls all the stats.
I
So
assume that, but
yeah,
I mean, hell, I mean, just think ladder, or sorry, season 28, day 2. any
Yeah.
primal weapon is good if it's your main primal weapon is good, even if the stats aren't quite min-maxed, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you get 55 primordial ash for disenchanting a primal, and it's 100 to craft one, right?
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
the Justice Lantern that you get when you unlock the primals, the free primal that you get gets you halfway to actually getting something useful.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And then, but see, and that's the thing too is like with the double primals, with the full altar of rights unlocked. Like,
Yeah.
wow, I didn't realize it was
That
limited
one.
on the ones you could wear though. So there's that.
Yeah. Though the be reaching the double primals, that one will probably take a minute.
No, I'll have that done by Saturday for sure.
Uh, well, I guess so. You're doing the opening without the chest then, or the what is it? The
So okay, so
Challenger.
can I tell you
yeah, the
a
Challenger
brief story?
chest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna tell you a brief story. There's this wonderful game called Diablo 2 Resurrected, and this is related, I promise you. And I was really, really hyped for the first and second ladders, right? But I'm a sorceress, right? I'm a sorceress, and I really hate spending money, specifically, runes, items, whatever. When I say money, that's what I mean on CTAs. I hate it, right? I hate it, but it's really necessary when you're doing bail runs to have the BO, right? So Diablo Battle Chest actually went on sale for it's like $15 for Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. So I might have bought two more CD keys so that I could have three accounts and just start a BO barb and never have to pay for CTA, right? So I can just go in with a barb, buff my character while I'm doing Magic Line runs, whatever it happens to be. My plan is to actually use one of those Diablo 3 accounts to just give the cachet, upgrade a bunch of stuff, craft a bunch of rares, and give that to the rest of the party so that we can save our cachets and donate that to the altar when the time comes.
Can you trade those though?
The crafted rares, yeah, you can.
Okay. Oh yeah, because it crafts the rare with the without at just the level one item
Right.
requirement,
So
right?
yeah, right. So you basically you hold your cachet, right, for the season rush for your main character.
Yeah.
That way you can just pay for the different tiers on the altar of rights, and then inevitably the second one you unlock or the third one you unlock, depending on which order you go in, is the one that just reduces level requirement, and you just go
Yeah.
on your other character, use the cachet, rank up your blacksmith as much as you can or all the way, craft that level 70, rare, and then hand it over. And you should have enough resources with the cachet to be able to do, a rare for at least 4 or 5, if not way more characters. So yeah. So basically, because I was trying to save money on a CTA, it actually benefited my Diablo 3 start as well too, because I won't have to wait. That's what I'm saying. So by Saturday or Sunday, I mean, we should be absolutely blasting. We'll see how it plays out, but yeah.
Well, my plan is to poorly play a witch doctor for a couple hours and then log off. And I will see you on Saturday evening, fully decked out, doing GR 140s at least. You have a much better plan than I do.
I I don't know if we'll be. I hope we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see.
Okay, so we've got Diablo 2, we've got Diablo 3, and we've got these both the seasons and the ladder reset coalescing at the exact same time. Because as we already have alluded, there is some major Diablo 4 stuff that is coming down the pipeline, and they probably don't want people getting too hyped for a Diablo 3 season, even as exciting as this one actually is, and not giving the full attention to the Diablo 4 beta that is coming up. So, before we get into it, we were all told to tune in to IGN FanFest for Diablo 4 information. And we got about 15 minutes of Diablo 4. Was anybody surprised that it was not just a little bit longer?
I don't have a point of reference. I've never watched FanFest, admittedly, and I follow the news cycle in gaming. So I just I don't know if it's new or I think we were talking about this in the pre-show a little bit. Like I'm not sure when it started. Um, but it seemed like the Game Awards, right? Where it's just like trailer, 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 award, trailer, 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 award. It was very similar, right? Just very truncated.
Yeah.
I was hoping for just, I don't know, a little bit more. I'm not saying I'm disappointed by what we heard because I am very excited for it. But I kind of thought like at least an hour, like an hour, and maybe we get some more gameplay footage. Maybe we find out about that druid class mechanic. I don't know, all sorts of stuff.
See, here's the trick, Xanth, right? If you get developers from those companies to come on our show or like a podcast, different things like that, you're going to get some pretty good questions and content. If it's IGN or GameSpot, it's just a commercial. It's
Yeah.
you're tuning in for a commercial. It's okay. We can all acknowledge that's what that is. But that's all it was really a commercial, and that's fine because we got the beta dates.
That is true. We did get a couple of beta dates. Now there are two. So first, we're getting a beta for having pre-purchased, right?
Or buying from KFC.
Or doubling down on your cholesterol. Um, no, I haven't had a double down in forever. I am very enticed by it. You know, it's it's the perfect sandwich. But this isn't shilling for KFC. Now, so both of you guys, and you can answer this for me because I can't. Um, you have pre-purchased Diablo 4, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you now already registered for the beta?
Uh,
So yes, yes, but so the pre-order access is given with physical and digital pre-orders. And if you pre-order it in a physical store, because yes, guys, some people still shop in physical stores, I know. But you actually get a code on your receipt that has the beta code right away. So I bought on console, I bought an Xbox and Switch version. I pre-ordered at a store, got the beta codes on the receipt, and then input those already. And then the PC versions I've already purchased as well too, because we don't sell physical retailers don't sell PC codes. They just sell currency at this point. So you know.
yeah. Well, I have a legitimate question for you. I had like just started thinking about it, like the during if we tie into it from the conversation that we had earlier. Um, will like if you buy it from a brick and mortar store, are you gonna just get a code to download it from BattleNet, or do you actually get a physical box?
So there is not a physical in-store PC pre-order. Period.
Yeah.
Like if you're
Okay.
gonna
So
pre-order for PC, you'd have to come
yeah,
in buy currency for BattleNet and then
yeah.
go do it on there.
But
Now
for
for
the
Xbox,
console,
yeah, for
is there gonna be
console, yeah, for the console, it's an actual disc. Yeah, they're making physical
okay.
versions. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it
just
was just
PC's the only one that's gone full digital. All the other consoles still have physical representations.
okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because it's like I don't have a it's like I'm worried that I won't have like a physical box to actually go through and put up there.
Yeah. Yep. No, there will be physical boxes for all consoles. And it's cross-play, cross-compatible on PS4, 5, and Xbox Series X and S and One.
Yeah.
Now, I ask that because my copy is gifted from the Diablo Hell's Inc. event. And unfortunately, that has not
And you're
came
sweating. You're
through.
sweating right now.
Um, I'm going to be going to KFC if things are dire, is what I'm saying. I'm assuming that this will all come out eventually.
there's no way they would leave the Hell's Inc. people in the dust on that. There's no way in hell. Yeah.
I am. I imagine we got an email right after they announced it. It's just I kind of expected the same thing with the beta. Of like, oh, hey,
Sure.
Hell's Inc. guys, we said we were going to get you the beta. Here you go. This is what you need to do, and that has not come through yet. So I was just a little curious what the process actually was, and if I need to be ordering another copy just to be sure, or a double down because I would like to be there.
Yeah.
Look, you keep talking about KFC. We're going on a mandate to KFC. So
That's
we
right.
need you
We
to
don't
stop.
live that far. We can meet up at a KFC. This
It's
is
true.
now just a
It's true.
commercial. KFC, you could buy an ad right here. It's just us talking about like, hey, I want to double down on this. Like we're just giving you all of these gems for free.
True. It's
And
true.
real talk, that it is not bad. I
And
do not dislike um a double down, but
Greasy chicken.
yeah.
and then they double downed it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So the first date we do have though, if if the housing thing comes through, and since you guys have purchased, is March 17th through the 19th. That is just for pre-purchase people. Um, how have you guys already asked off for that weekend? Is your schedule fully cleared?
No, and I no. Nope. It is the beta for Diablo 4. I'm probably going to be playing this game for a decade. I don't need to play the beta that hard, right? I'm going to play it because if you hit level 20, you get a cosmetic in the game. I'm gonna hit
Yeah.
level 20 and I'm gonna log the hell off and I'm gonna save the rest of it, right? That's literally what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hit 20, I'm gonna stop right there, and I'm gonna go do anything else until July or June. Months
Oh,
are hard.
I should mention because I've seen this like in conversation, like various bits and pieces where people have been going through and saying that your progress carries over from the beta to the
It
actual
does not.
game. It was Joe Shelley said that your progress carries over from the one beta
Yes.
weekend to the second beta weekend,
Yep.
and then people were taking that and then going and saying that your progress carried
Right.
over to live, but that is not the case. Just in case,
Yeah.
just so that way everyone is clear, if you listen to this podcast, that's not how it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite a stretch to come to of like, well, I mean, I should be already 20 when I start because I was in that beta. No, like what game does that? We do get early access. You will have early access. You can get in on June 2nd, uh, and have about 4 days to get ahead before the actual release date of the 6th. But to have a character that hangs out from March during a beta and then you get to start with would just be weird to me.
Yeah.
It would.
Uh, but then we also have another beta, the 24th through the 26th, which is open to everybody, whether you buy a double down or not. So,
Well, I mean, in
and
that situation, some people are playing the beta, and some people are playing the beta with cholesterol. So,
right,
Right.
right.
There you go. Right.
Uh,
Possibly heart disease. Likely heart disease.
it's going to get us all. But
definitely heart disease.
uh, so we have
Especially in our
both of these.
area.
Yeah, good old Wisconsin. We have both betas coming up. Nineball, you were actually in a beta. Uh, from the description that Joe Shelley gave, does this sound identical to what you had and that what you got to play
It
through?
sound yeah, it sounds exactly identical to the press beta. The first act, free reign and fractured peaks, level cap of 25. It pretty much sounds like that's exactly what we got to play. Maybe uh there the game was pretty polished at that point. There were only like a few like little type of like graphical bugs or anything. So maybe it's just going to be fully fleshed out at this point. There are also a couple of uh, placeholder audio for quest dialogue and stuff like that. So hopefully that will be fixed as well. We're actually getting the full, the full polished version of Act One that we get to play through.
And the beta that you played, you only had three classes. You
Hmm.
didn't get to play your beloved Necromancer and the far
No.
superior Druid. Do you expect, and I guess
I
this
like
is
how we're
just
just
more
gonna
fun,
take.
but
Are we just gonna take that? Are we just
we're
gonna take
moving
that? We
on.
can't take.
He
Okay.
gets so many he gets so many
Rabies.
digs. He gets so many digs every time. I'm just gonna move past it. I dropped one. Just let me have it. Just let me have it. Um,
Fine. Fine.
is the
Yeah,
expectation just
rabies
like
causes mental
just pity.
problems.
Just pity.
I know.
I'll
Yeah.
take the pity. Is the expectation that we're going to get the three classes, or would it make more logical sense that they have every class available for what's going to be a widely viewed beta, either widely played or widely viewed via streams, that everybody's able to see the full capacity of Diablo 4?
So I'm gonna take the cop out answer and say I don't know. Because we we never got a reason as to why there was no necromancer or druid in the press beta. So what maybe it was just because they wanted to focus test on those three classes. Maybe it was because the other ones were undergoing some additional polish and changes and such. And specifically, from everything that they talked about at the fan fest, with whatever the little shortened thing of it was, is that they didn't talk about classes. That's like the one thing that they haven't said. So, it would be at least a fair starting point to say that only those three classes would be available. It wouldn't be a bad thing to kind of set expectations at that level. But I mean, it will have been 3 months since then. So we do have that developer stream coming up on the 28th. So we'll have some time ahead of time before the beta. That I'm sure there's going to be a question that's going to get asked of what we can play, and hopefully get an answer on that. I would almost assume, that if they were going to have all five of the classes available to play, they'd just mention that out the gate. Yeah, the fact that they're haven't actually answered that question or talked about it makes me think that there probably will be some form of limitations on it. Who knows? Maybe the druid and the necromancer will be the only two playable classes, and they'll just flip it around, or it might even change in between the two beta dates. Because
I
I was just gonna say
I
the Diablo 2 Resurrected beta was the same way. Not all the classes
yes,
were available.
but okay, so without getting too much in the weeds here, there's no shot in hell that all five classes will be playable in the beta. And I say that because what is the pro and like do your pros and cons list, right?
Yeah.
If you're right, if they were going to do that, they would have announced that, and just that would have been the talking point for the beta, right? Hey, try all the classes, right? They don't want you to try all the classes, right? They don't, because if you play all the classes in the beta, you can decide if you like the game or don't like the game before you buy it. By not liking the sorcerer, by not liking the rogue, by not liking the barbarian, you might still really love the druid, right? You still might really love the necro. So they're going to hold that for launch, because that way you got to buy it to go try it out, right? But they can still stress test the servers by pigeonholing us into those three classes. And the difference would be is that D2 had been out for a decade or more than a decade before all of that happened with D2R. So those have already been played. I think that there's no real upside to them getting all five classes in the game, other than us, like from a corporate standpoint, if that makes sense. Again, back to corporate America, the truth is there's no way. We'll come back and I'll eat crow if that's the case. Not actual crow, but you know what I mean, right? The expression. But I would highly, highly doubt that they have all five classes playable for either beta. Here's the thing that we're not talking about. I actually think there's going to be another beta. I think there'll be another beta probably in May, beginning of May or late April as well.
There
That
is,
that does make sense because the Hell's Inc. gets you access
Yep.
to the beta, and there's another one in April.
Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a noticeable gap between Hell's Inc.'s events. Um, there is a few in March. I believe the last one was on the 15th of March, and then the next one comes back in April. So there's a gap between Hell's Inc.'s as well. Is there obviously we have our beta weekends, but then when scheduling the last Hell's Inc. in April, why? Why not push it in between? Um, there's got to be a
Because May will
reason.
be all pressed. May will be press, 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 press.
It's true. Um,
Yeah.
maybe
And
another
what else
beta.
happens in June? What else typically happens in June, early June, that'd be great for press, 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 press? E3, right? So it's the lead up to E3. There's always a heavy press trail for a lot of those games that are coming out. Little leaks, little trailers, intentional things like that. I would anticipate another beta in early April to coincide with, and then the Hell's Inc. one maybe a little bit later, like maybe like kind of like the same thing, like first, second weekend of April, like both weekends maybe. But I really think there's going to be at least one more stress test for the servers, because one this far out is going to do more than like there's going to be like, again, we've talked about that before. I know with the previous podcast when you guys had Jay on, with them doing one, then that tells me a lot more about what the intent of that beta is. Like, yes, obviously stress test servers, but there's going to be like not deep game changing changes, but some superficial changes, some little quality of life things, visual changes, story changes, or at least edits to make it make sense. Little things. Um, but yeah, for the big stress test, that'll probably be early April. I would.
Now, did either of you ever play the Diablo 2 stress test?
Hmm.
Yes,
And what was the only class you could play during that?
barbarian.
Barbarian.
Yeah. I
Yep.
I I wouldn't think that would be a nice little homage if it was only barbarian. Um, just seeing a bunch of barbarians in Act One running around chasing gem shrines. That is a very fond memory.
Well, and I think that the thing I'm trying to say about the beta is that like your casual everyday gamer, right? The guys that don't play Diablo the way that we do, that aren't tuning into our podcast, things like that, right? Your average gamer is going to try the game out for an hour and figure out if they like it or not, right? There's always that promise if there's a light, like if there's more that's not playable in a beta. But if you could play all 5 classes to level 20, that's a pretty good idea of how the game is going to play. Mind you, it's not. There's a ton of end game systems and stuff. But for a casual gamer who's not going to engage in those systems, the first 20 levels are really indicative of your play experience. So if you could play all classes, that might pigeonhole you a little bit. So I just think that they're going to hold a lot of that for launch. I think so.
It seems fair. You guys have
I mean, he's
bummed me
convinced
out.
me. I'm sold on that one. Just going through and saying it's like Nineball, you're not cynical enough towards corporate America. There,
You're absolutely not.
it
I
can be even
promise
worse.
you, you're absolutely not. Yeah, you're not.
I was so excited to maybe play a druid, and I'm
Yeah.
still excited to play Diablo 4. I'll play the shit out of a
Oh
rogue.
yeah.
I'll play the shit
Oh,
out of a
100%.
barbarian. I don't care because I really want to play it. Um, but I know I want to play a druid. But anyways,
Fair.
that's me lamenting. Nobody needs that. Now, outside of the beta release dates, we did get a little insight with Joe Shelley, and he talks a little bit about the in-game cinematics and how the character is integrated, and that's all well and great. I brought this up pre-show, and I want to obviously put this out there. Behind Joe Shelley, obviously, there's a lot that goes into PR and goes into marketing. He's in an office, it is curated, and behind him, much like me, are copies of Diablo. But noticeably, something is missing. We have a copy of Diablo, a copy of Diablo 2, and a copy of Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction. Diablo 3 is not seen. There is a giant treasure goblin, right? Stuffed animal treasure goblin is there, but the boxes for the games that have shipped with the name Diablo, we're missing Diablo 3 and we're missing Reaper of Souls. That feels purposeful. Did you guys catch it?
I have to say I did. As I've mentioned on like the past couple of podcasts about like that the Tales of the Heraldic Library, how it felt like they went out of their way to not use the term Nephilim. The fact that they didn't have the Diablo 3 game in the background was pointed out to me, or stood out to me, and so it was definitely one of those ones where it's like, yeah, it definitely seems intentional trying to put some distance between them. Which is funny because out of all of those games, Joe Shelley worked on Diablo 3.
I was gonna say that. That's like literally. So I literally remember watching that. Like I tuned in right when I went live, saw Chile pop on. He has headset on. He's talking, and I'm living there. And I'm sitting there. And I'm like, literally, as I was watching it, I went, I could do an hour podcast just about his background right now. Right?
Yeah.
Like I could riff on that for a while. It's absolutely intentional. He worked on Diablo. He didn't work on Diablo 1. He's not that old, right? I don't think he worked on Diablo 2 either. I'm pretty sure. So
No.
right. So it wasn't like he was showing off his collection of the games that he had worked on, or maybe it's his personal faves. I don't know, but it feels everything has felt very intentionally distancing itself from Diablo 3. The verbiage, the way it looks, even how they're marketing the game as dark and gothic was literally the criticism directly from Diablo 3 when we first started seeing screens. So
Yeah.
it feels like they took Diablo 3 and like it's almost like athletes, right? They go back and they watch games, they watch like game film. It's almost like they went back and watched like all their BlizzCon pressers, all their lead into Diablo 3, all the beta stuff, all the stuff Jay Wilson did, and just went, okay, the opposite of all of that is what we want to do with this. Um, Man, it feels that way. Now, mind you, I could also just be crazy, but I
I
really
mean,
think that
like
Yeah.
I pulled I pulled it back up, and just like as Xanth was going through and saying, it's got the treasure goblin. It does have the old sideshow collectible, Diablo 3 Diablo sitting on a table off to the side, and the Solarian just propped up in the background. Because they actually did make a physical Solarian prop for
Yeah.
the Switch release, and it's up in the offices at the Blizzard HQ. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
like they do have some Diablo 3 stuff, but it's just the fact that they don't have the game case sitting back
And
up
you
there with
and
the
you
rest of
know
them.
that they have it. I mean, he worked
Yeah,
on the game. I have 3 copies of Diablo 3, and I didn't work on the goddamn game, right? So like if I've
yeah.
got 3 copies, they gave me 2 of them, right? So it's
Uh,
yeah, for me it's just insane. Um it's wildly interesting. Like I really just need to play this goddamn game to find out like what's what because it feels very distant. Um I don't know. It's crazy. It is crazy. But yeah, it feels very intentionally marketed completely 180 degrees away from how they did Diablo 3.
Yeah, it was just kind of interesting to see that. And while there might be some artifacts of Diablo 3 around,
but,
prominently displayed is
uh,
is
Here,
D1, D2, and
I,
that's it.
I do have an explanation. I am going to play
okay.
devil's advocate here, or Diablo's
Okay.
advocate, however you want to do it.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. I'm excited.
all right. So the person that was in charge of going through and setting up the room just went and grabbed some random stuff that looked nice and put it in the background, but like they only play Overwatch. They
Okay. Yeah.
they
So,
only know Diablo because like it's down the hall, type
right.
thing. It's like,
Right.
oh yeah, sure. We'll take some of these things. Lord of Destruction is the third one, right?
You know what it is?
It's like
You know what it is? It's because they're working from home. If they were in an office, they probably would have got Diablo 3 on the shelf, right? Like
they
if they were
probably would
working
have
in the
got,
office.
yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have a copy at the house. No, I think that oh man. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. Again, I want to just see because the story is what's got me so excited about Diablo 4. I know I'm gonna love the game and play the hell out of the game, right? But the story is what pulled me in with Diablo 3 or Diablo 1. Even the little amount that there was, right? The theme, just everything about it.
Mhm.
Diablo 2, obviously the story just rocked. And then now into Diablo 3, like obviously you can have your issues with it, but I think the most fascinating thing about it is, and this is like I'm talking in objectives here, so I just want to say that out loud. I'm not pitching this case at all, but there is no doubt when you look at financials that Diablo 3 was the more successful game between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3. Like Diablo 3 sold a bajillion more than Diablo
Yeah.
2 ever dreamed of. Now, Diablo 2 is hailed as one of the greatest games of all time, and rightfully so. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Diablo 3 is on the top 20 games sold all time list, right?
Yeah.
All
And
time. All time.
the best part is that Diablo 3 is up there with like a metric that hasn't budged since 2015.
Yeah.
They've never even updated the sales figures to include like the Switch launch or any of those other things. Like it's
Yeah.
absurd, just
Yeah.
how popular and how many copies that game has sold.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And on top, I mean, it is close to the GTA level of revenue. Like if that puts it into perspective for people that play just Diablo and don't focus on other games at all. Like GTA is a beast. It is one of the biggest media markets out there, period. And Diablo's like in its range. It's definitely behind it, but it's in its range, and that's crazy. Diablo 3 specifically. So it's crazy to me that it's almost like they're taking, like I said, the opposite approach with Diablo with the marketing for Diablo 3 because they're going into the hardcore fan base and really just going, no, all those Diablo 2 fans that did not like Diablo 3, we want to pull them in intentionally. Like they're intentionally pulling in that group and anticipating the Diablo 3 crowd just won't notice. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like to me, which hey, the probably a valid marketing strategy and might work very, very well. But it's so crazy as someone who's a fan of both, it is
Yeah.
crazy to see the difference. And as someone who's lived through the marketing campaigns for both games, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah, I
mean,
really think
just as someone that just like you were going through and pointing out, obviously, I enjoy the lore and the stories and stuff like that, and it is definitely a concern. Like, how are they going to talk about the story of Diablo 3 going into Diablo 4? Are we going to get people's opinions of like Malthael's purging of Sanctuary and such, like this gigantic event that happened. How are they going to handle that? How are they going to discuss it? Are we gonna learn the fate of what happened to the Nephilim or anything like that?
Right.
From Diablo 3, or is it just going to be, hand waved away in the background?
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. I'm really, yeah. That's. I just need to get my hands on this damn game. That'll be the best
Yeah,
way to answer these questions, right? Like we'll
yeah.
play it, right? So, yeah.
No, I think it's a good point to bring up, though. For a decade, we've lived in this version of Sanctuary, right? And now we have a newer version. Are they going to honor the story that's been told? Or, kind of going back to the podcast with Deandra and Brian, are they going to put their own spin on it? Are we going to change a few things? Are we going to go as far as to retcon? Or are we going to wipe things out entirely? Every piece of Diablo 4 that we've seen so far, it seems almost like Diablo 3 didn't happen. And that's
Well,
weird.
and I wonder too, because here's the other thing I'm thinking is that I wonder if that's not almost a knee-jerk reaction. Because if you think about it, that's the way Diablo's always been, right? Diablo
Yeah.
2 riffed on Diablo 1 wasn't exactly the same, obviously, but riffed on it, and we had those carrying things that came over. Diablo 3 obviously heavily riffed on Diablo 2, for better or for worse, however you feel about that, despite the game being very, very different. This game's not doing that. Like it's riffing on the theme, right? But we're not seeing the classic characters. We're not seeing Tyrael, no Kain, obviously. We're seeing no connection to Diablo 3. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, depending on how it all plays out, how the story
Yeah.
plays out, and all that. But it's definitely different,
Yeah,
right?
I will definitely go through and say that it's like I'm not expecting that Diablo 4 goes through and picks up the very next chapter that happens after Diablo 3.
Right,
I don't want to put
right.
that on that. It's like obviously the whole narrative team and stuff. They know what they're doing. So a lot of the people that are on the narrative team worked on Diablo 3 and such. So it definitely
Yeah.
is one of those things where I'm not expecting that, but I am there are obviously like big unanswered questions from the end of Diablo 3 that I would
Oh
like to
yeah,
hear answered, because there are things that like in Diablo 2 you learn the fate of the original three characters. In Diablo 3 you learn the fate of a couple of the characters from Diablo 2. It makes references back to some of the characters from Diablo 2. It makes references back to some of the events and things that happened previously and such. And that's really all that I'm kind of like looking for.
yeah,
Especially given that uh, Diablo 3 like altered the world in a way that the previous games hadn't. You know,
yes,
like
yep.
Diablo 2 at least had it where it kind of like broke the Church of Zacharium. I'm combining words now. Sorry, forgive me, it's late. But it's like but like Diablo 3 like broke the world. Like the whole
Yeah,
90% of Sanctuary's population wiped out. To not have that mentioned, like even obviously like with Lorath has aged, it's been 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. We don't know how old he was in Diablo 3. He's obviously like an old man now. So, but like even like 50 years later, if the world's population got decimated, like it should that should still be on people's minds. Like, we still talk about, we can still go through and reference back to like, not even World War II. We can reference back to like World War One,
yeah,
type thing with those like major events that happened 100 years ago, just because of how world altering like those conflicts were and such. Where I would expect that anybody that is still living in that world would be thinking back to that point. It seems like one of those ones that at least the story doesn't have to mention it, but if I'm going to go into a tavern, in like the Fractured Peaks or anywhere, I should be able to like walk in, and just have someone say something or mention something about it. Even if
right.
it's like pulling like Leah in Diablo 3 with Deckard Cain's going on all the demons and stuff, and Leah's just like, oh, uncle, it's like have the crazy guy at the end of the bar. It's like, oh, you don't understand. Angels came down and killed everybody. Everyone's just like, yeah, that's old Uncle Izov, whatever. I'm just looking for something,
Oh no, for sure, absolutely. Right. Some sort of breadcrumb that ties it all
Yeah.
together. But apparently, even though that team worked on Diablo 3, so did Joe, and he doesn't own the game in his house anywhere or whatever. So that's 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 a thing.
Uh, yeah, we will wait and see. Obviously, in March, we'll get Act One, right?
Yeah.
We'll get a chance to jump in, and obviously, we'll talk about it here. Um,
Oh
I
yeah.
would I would hope, like Diablo 3 in Act One, it was very clear what had, well, not very clear, but we had at least enough of an understanding of the transition between two to three, right?
Oh, I thought you were about to reference the beta for Diablo 3 again. I was
Oh no,
don't do that.
no,
Don't do that.
we
Yeah, we
don't
got to
talk
see a
about it.
lot of Act One. A lot of
Yeah.
Act One.
we
At
we
least.
we at least could place ourselves in what had happened in the story in that first act. Um, so if we're getting about what Act One is, that should make things a little bit more clear and hopefully bridge that gap. I know Diablo 3 was maligned for some of its storytelling, right? Uh, we Asmodan is probably one of the most egregious, or Belial, right? Both of
Yeah.
those.
Talking heads.
It, it, yeah, maybe it wasn't the story itself, but like how it was told sometimes. And obviously, what transpires, and obviously Deckard Cain and Magda, Leah as a character, just kind of being there to be a vessel. But then Reaper Souls comes out, and the storytelling takes a different form, and it felt better, right? And you're right. You have that major event of 90% of Sanctuary getting wiped out. It would just feel weird that it didn't happen. But I think there would be a large contingent of the Diablo fan base that might really be excited about that. They're like, you know what? If that didn't happen, if that's a separate story being told somewhere else, um, this is the real continuation of events. I just want answers. I just want answers.
We're not going to get those for a minute, so here we are.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have at least some in under a month.
I don't think we will.
I'd
I
like
don't
to
think we
think
will. I
I'll get something.
I mean, we'll have some answers, but like
But
we're gonna get roughly a fifth of the game, right? So like roughly,
yeah.
right? There's probably a little less than that, to be honest. And so, are we gonna be like we won't know those breadcrumbs? I mean, those
Yeah, because
breadcrumbs may not be in that fifth, you know?
yeah, the especially it's a zone we've never been to in a Diablo game.
Yeah,
We've
fractured
been to
pizza.
like we've been to Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah,
In Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 and Diablo Immortal. We've never been to the Fractured Peaks before, so it's all new territory, all new game. And so I would imagine that I I played it. I don't have to imagine. I will say that it's more focused on setting up its own story,
yeah.
than
Which
trying
which
to.
again could be a very, very good thing, and the breadcrumbs could come later and be small, right? And that's
Yeah,
okay. I want to see how it ties in. Just don't completely ignore it. Like that's kind
yeah,
of embarrassing. I have like secondhand embarrassment if they do that, right?
yeah. But yeah,
It's almost
no,
like
it's like
not having the game case behind you when you worked on the goddamn game, but yeah, it's
yeah.
weird.
It's definitely one of those ones where it's like, again, I don't begrudge the narrative team. It's the first act of the game. You want to focus on your story, the game
Yep,
that you're making. You don't have to
exactly. Yeah,
go through and have references, to the previous games and stuff like that. That's common sense.
yeah.
That's an easy take. But like you're saying, it's like in Kyrgyzstan, will we see Chaldeum or Elkarnas and other places like that exist in the world in those areas? What will it go through in B? Will it go through and talk about things that happened in the previous games?
Well, we don't have much longer until we get to actually find out in June for all the details, and like I said, about a month until we're actually hands-on. Now, between now and then, outside of Hell's Inc. events, there's also going to be a developer update. We're getting another stream. Um, we are getting a few updates in terms of armor and other defenses. And then probably more important, I think, to the average person that's, not tuning into this podcast, would be PC specs. We're finally going to find out what we need to run the game.
And see, the reason some of us have been planning to do a build for this game, right? And have been just patiently waiting for those specs to come out. So I just wish it was a little sooner so I could plan financially a bit better to make sure I get exactly what I want to get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad we're getting the specs. I just like, can we just drop them? Like, why do we got to wait? Like, what's the spoiler alert on specs? Just tell me so I can go buy the thing and be ready to go.
Speaking of which, in tandem with the new developer update and financial planning, there was a new statue announced of Anarius, which nine ball. How's your credit card looking?
Did you do it?
No, not
I didn't
yet.
either. I can't. I
Yeah.
can't. I haven't even pulled
It
the trigger
was,
on Lilith, and that one seems worth it. The
yeah,
Daenerys one is
like
crazy, but God, it's expensive.
yeah, I mean with Lilith, like at the time, like Lilith is $600 on the web store now. I believe at the time Lilith was like 500. So she's gone up in price. And I had to debate. I had to wait. On going through and pulling the trigger on Lilith. That I had to like budget for it and all this other types of stuff. I wasn't just gonna pull the trigger like instantly. Like on a $500 purchase. But like for Anarius, and I was like, I said it on Twitter that I'm hoping that they come out with an Arya statue because it would be so badass, and he is. But I was also dreading it because over the past couple of years, they used to do these statues like all the time. And they always were like $400 to $500 price range. Like Lilith was the most expensive statue that they had done up until that point, but she was also
Yeah.
the largest that they had done. Because normally they were somewhere around like 20, 21 inches, and then Lilith was like 26. And then they did the Arthas statue that was
Yeah, I was
also
about to say
like,
Arthas was the one that broke
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, Arthas then took that up a notch and went like straight to $1,100. It's like, oh god damn! And then they came out with the other Overwatch one recently that was also like
Yeah.
up there in pricing.
That was
And it
it.
was just
That was
like,
Tracer. No.
no, it was the new the new one. I can't remember her name, but like the robot thing that just came out. The it was
Yeah, I
it
don't.
was
I
a
don't. I used to play that game. I don't play it anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I sadly I am I cannot play shooters anymore. I am not
Sure.
yeah, it is just not my thing. But yeah, it was like one of those ones where it's like, oh no, apparently so she was only a bust statue, which was 200, which was like the Diablo 2 Resurrected one that they had done. But yeah, it was just like
Right.
God, yeah. Yeah, 1100. That takes some planning. The Alex Straza statue was 900. Maybe that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. But they're all up there like thousand
And
dollars.
don't
And it's just like
and don't get us wrong. The problem
yeah,
isn't that it's that expensive. It is absolutely worth it. It's just too expensive to just drop the money for it, right? We got to plan
yeah,
those purchases out a little bit. I like that statue is incredible. Like it is absolutely incredible. I definitely still want Lilith more because I'm more Lilith than an Arius fan. But yeah, it's sick. It is sick. I know my
yeah,
brother has it. It makes me mad. I don't want to talk.
yeah. And it's like all the details on it and everything because it's like it's got like he's it's like while he's still been imprisoned in hell, so he's like shackled to the floor, and it's
Yeah.
got Mephisto's like face on the shackle and
Oh
everything because
yeah, I've
he's the
seen
one
him.
that is
I've
like yeah,
makes me sad. I go to my
yep,
brother's house and he's got it, but here we are. Here we sit. I do
yeah,
have the Diablo 2 bus though, the Resurrected bus, because that thing is awesome.
yeah. I mean, will I eventually get it? Probably, but it is definitely gonna be one of those ones I'm gonna have to like set some stuff aside, in a separate account and stuff like that because like don't want to pull money out of savings and stuff like that in order to go through and buy a statue. I'm married now. That will get me killed.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. That's the
Yeah,
trick.
it's definitely one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I have
Any
to
purchase
plan
over
for it.
$200 is a group decision, right? If you have a
Yeah,
significant other, you better have that conversation. I come home with a giant an area statue. I might get some couch sleeping for a while.
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like there's a lot of a statue, a statue,
yeah,
really, a statue.
Yeah. Hey,
And now
look,
you want
man,
to
we're
now you
just trying to live our best life. It's fine.
yeah.
no, it is
Yeah.
amazingly well done. And the first person I thought of when I saw it was you, Nine Ball. I was just like, oh, that
I
poor
saw
man.
the statue, and the next thing I saw was your tweet. Like I saw the statue and I went, God damn, that's expensive. And then I saw your tweets. My girlfriend had sent it to me. She like screenshot it and sent it to me. Not like we could get it. Just like, hey, look how cool this thing is that we can't go get right now. And I went, thanks, I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And then I immediately went to Twitter and I just saw your tweet right away. I'm like, yep, well, there. I don't need to post my hot take on this one. Nine Ball's got
Yeah.
his out there. I'll just chill.
Uh,
Yeah, it's just like one of those things. It's like I've kind of gotten back into Magic the Gathering. I play
I saw
Warhammer.
that.
Yeah, so it's definitely like one of those ones. I'm used to having like these big gigantic like collector sets and things that it's like it's a 100% it's a luxury piece and it's at a luxury price.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely one of those ones. I do wish it was a little bit cheaper to make the sting a little bit less, but yeah, yeah, will I have it by the end of the year? Maybe. It will be, but it's definitely one of those things. It's not something that like you were mentioning, like the Diablo 2 bus was like $200. Like that one
Yeah.
was easy. Just like it's $200. Just pull the trigger on it. I just won't.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
buy any.
Right.
I just won't buy any Warhammer this month. Type
That's
thing.
it. Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, I will plan. I'll plan. Hey,
Plan.
I'm not getting married this year. At least I don't plan on getting married this year. So my expenses
So
are down.
here's what you do. Here's
So
what you do.
yeah,
Look. I'll help you real quick. All you do
yeah.
is the next 6 months don't buy any Warhammer and put 200 back every month for 6 months, and then
Uh,
around what close to June you could just buy
it's
an Arius. Math's
it,
hard,
it,
okay?
this
late
reminds me of my
August.
college days when I was
Yeah,
saving up for the Frostmourne replica. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like it's because it was like $400. The only reason why I remember it was $400. I think it's like $900. They brought it back. It was like $900 on the Blizzard store. I talk about inflation, Jesus.
Right,
That
right.
because the joke was all I have to do is think about it in terms of cost that it's not $400. It's 400 McChickens.
There
And
you go.
so just
That's it.
college me is just when I go to have dinner, I'm just
Yep.
gonna order one McChicken instead
Instead
of
of
two,
two, and then it
and
saves,
I just
bro.
gonna put
Then it
we're
saves.
gonna put that
That's it.
dollar over. I just have to do that
And
400 times,
and and you're saving on calories, right? So
right? Yeah,
slim in the waistline a bit. We're
yeah.
eating McChickens. No one's slimming a waistline with McChicken, but yeah. Uh,
And
but yeah,
that's how I bought my Frostborn replica. I
there you
saved
go.
McChickens. Yeah.
That's right.
Now,
There you
in this instance, let's take it from McChicken to a double down. And
go.
now we have a full circle. Um,
Yeah.
Today's
so
economics class brought to you by your local fast food establishments.
Yeah, what is the price of a double down? It probably is still only I just have to not buy 400 double downs and I can afford an Arius. We can
Yeah,
redo the
probably so.
cycle all over again.
Probably
Yeah.
so.
that's probably apt. I was trying to quickly Google the price of it.
Me and Xanth will tell you when we have our mandate at KFC this week.
Well, fucking fast food isn't even cheap anymore. It's probably like
I know.
$7 a
I
sandwich,
know.
so it's
I
less.
know.
It's
It's
gonna be
tough.
less than 400.
It's tough.
We have
Um,
given KFC far too much time tonight uh,
Sure.
to not be receiving at least one free double down. So
Why?
KFC, if you're out
What? What
there,
the? We're going to split it and mail half to Florida?
one apiece, not like one
Cut it into threes and
shared.
just mail it.
uh,
No, you
That would
said
be
one. You
ridiculous.
said one.
I'm
I
I,
said
It's
one.
fine.
I
You
did say
did.
one, but it was more like
He just
one
wants a double
each.
down. You're so selfish. HC/SC Xanth.
All right, this is done. Okay, so we do have the developer update coming on the 28th, and that's when we will all get back together and disseminate all that information possible. But in the meantime, let's close as we always do with a moo, moo, moo.
Moo 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 moo.